Shattered Vale, much like Citadel, has been a surprisingly fun time. Another map that takes some older elements but brings them back in a decent way. That goes for the story of the map, which incorporates both Cold War and Chaos elements very well, as well as the return of Double Tap, which incorporates itself with the raygun variants seamlessly. And while the map does have some flow issues with there not being enough fast travels, and the spawns being a bit too close to the pathways, the lack of boss spam really does make playing for high rounds a lot more fun than any other map in the game, as well as how good the Mark II variants are against the Disciples. And I'll just say, I was never a fan of that enemy type. I can appreciate the change to their mechanics that they don't infinitely heal themselves anymore, which is a very big improvement. Overall, Shattered Vale is a good map, and I'm enjoying playing it. In solo. See, this map has an issue. One big flaw, and it's really only a co-op problem, but it really is a major one. And it has to do with the Raygun Mark II variant quests. But not the individual quests themselves, but rather the mechanics on how you start them. To explain how the quest start is messed up, we need to compare how they were on Alpha Omega. There, you had 4 different quests for the 4 different rayguns. There were 4 canisters that were specific to each of the variants, and most importantly, an empty Mark II frame for each. That way, any player could do the canister quest so long as they had the right alternate ammo type. And after one was done, you needed to craft it with an empty frame. Shattered Vale's Mark II quest progression is so ass backwards that it's confusing why they did it this way. For starters, there are 3 different canisters that you need to get for each of the Mark IIs, with completely different methods to get them, but each of the canisters are not tied to a specific ray gun. So they're universal like the frames used to be, which is fine, if not a little weird, as you need a ray gun Mark II to get 2 of them. The issue is, you can't start 2 of the quests besides the Casimir one unless you have the Mark II. Because the only other way to get the seeds from the plants for the poison ray gun is to go out of your way to spend your valuable salvage on explosive grenades. Which, on this map, if you don't have a wonder weapon, you really need to save that salvage to upgrade your weapon. For example, you can't even get the blue canister without using the Mark II itself. Not to mention, the holdout against the parasites for the blue ray gun is difficult if you don't have one, so you'll likely have to use a mutant injection or chopper gunner. And even then, with the chopper gunner, it's still barely enough to get you through this. Now, once you do each of them, you can just take the Mark II you have and convert it back and forth like the Blundergat on Blood of the Dead, swapping between the Magma Gat or the Acid Gat. This whole quest progression isn't a problem in solo, because there's a side quest to get a free Raygun Mark II. But for co-op, unless you have one player that gets the Mark II doing everything, you have to hit the box over and over and over and over to try to get things done for yourself. And as we know, the Wonder Weapon box rates are really bad on lower rounds. Meaning if you want to get a chance to get one out of the box normally, you have to keep progressing the rounds higher and higher. And don't even think for a second if you somehow pull the regular ray gun that you'll get anything out of it. Because despite being both a ray gun and an explosive, it doesn't count for any of the quests where you have to shoot things with the Mark II. So that makes it completely useless and even worse off for you if you use a certain gun to try and avoid this problem. This is the biggest flaw with the map. For the life of me, I have no idea why the upgrade quests are done this way. That would be like, you couldn't get started on any of the bow quests on DE until you got the regular bow from the box. And the one you get for doing all the dragon heads is only able to be picked up by one person. This right here, in my opinion, is a slimy way to get players to use the Wonder Bar Gobblegum in co-op matches, to try and get around this problem. Because, why else are the variant quests made this way? This really is the only major problem with the map. The lack of fast travels I can sort of live with, but in co-op, the map gets exponentially more frustrating. On top of if a player goes down and you don't have healing aura, or on the other side of the map, you may not have time to get to them, as this map, again, doesn't have very many fast travels. But like I said, these are only co-op problems. And this big flaw with the map is really only when you're playing with other players. Solo, this map is a great time. But with friends or randoms, the design of this map has a few cracks.